Hey guys, Daniel Faust, one of your hosts for Learn and Live in the War Hero to Superhero podcast, which will be live on Palapado. Wow, it's my new contractor. It's Podo Polo. So Papado, oh boy. But I'll learn how to pronounce it anyway. So I want to thank you guys for going over and joining each and every day, either on the live or the replay. Again, I am your host, War Hero, the Superhero Faust, and hopefully we have other guest hosts as we go over and grow. But this week in the boardroom, we've been talking about teleworking or not. And we're in part 3. Woo, man, just having a rough day on this live. Part 3 on teleworking or not. Because again, the coronavirus has changed our landscape. It just changes every day. From the military to the civilian side, people are trying to teach like online classes, businesses are closing, people are going down the minimal stuff, and our front is changing. And until we are fully out of it, brooklands.edu stated that up to 50% of current jobs went to a teleworking model. Now, today was my first day going back, but it felt like extremely weird. And maybe it feels extremely weird for you. And especially for our military and first responders, we never thought about working in our garages, bedrooms, or even couches back there on a laptop or on an iPhone or a tablet or anything. No one ever thought about doing virtual education in that regard. Now, it was picking up a little bit, but now it's expedited drastically. And tonight, we're going to discuss tools to use and to learn about to thrive in this teleworking world. So if you decide to go out into this teleworking world, we want to give you a 30,000-foot view on certain tools to use or to go over and re-encourage you to learn. Maybe you just jumped into them because somebody put them on you. But if you're going to jump into a teleworking world, either starting your own business, or if you're going to start staying at home, or your job allows you to go over into telework, and maybe you have that freedom and autonomy to meet with clients and customers, maybe there's some of the things that you can go over and use. So let's jump into it. So first and the most popular that we've been talking about is Zoom. Zoom is a great protocol software that allows you to manage meetings. You can get up to hundreds of thousands of people. You can go send the broadcast to Facebook or the social media regard. You can go over and share a lot of content. And if you have items to share screen, it allows you to go over and do that. There is some cons in that particular regard because it's getting hacked on a regular basis. So you better make sure you set up your meeting ID and a special password that continually changes. But overall, through and through, you can join into little rooms. You can add virtual spaces in there. You can go over and put overlays on there depending on the product you do. The free version gives you 40 minutes to connect with anybody in the world. And then the enterprise product gives you unlimited capability. You can record the video and then split the audio and split the video. There's multiple features on Microsoft Zoom that you can go over and explore. So that's one of our first tools we highly recommend. And this list was inspired by PCWorld.com, just to give where credit is due. So that's the first tool that we recommend. The second one, Microsoft Office. I've been a Microsoft Office trainer for several years, and I highly recommend Microsoft Office because there's a lot of collaboration and very powerful things to go over and do in PowerPoint, in Word, in Excel, in Access and whatnot. And having these tools readily and capably available and understanding little nuances, like I just helped somebody today by creating a form and adding in cells into the document, so then they can go over and then integrate it into a PDF. And then bring in virtual signatures, and then they can use their Skype connection for a quick meeting and have them go over and sign it. So the Microsoft Office tools work seamlessly in that particular regard. And especially if you've grown up on Microsoft, a lot of corporations are going to probably stick to Microsoft. Now, some are going to go over to the other products we're talking about, but it's definitely key to go know those products. And even if you're using a different suite of products like G Suite or something else, you need to know how to convert your files to those formats depending on the people that you deal with. Because when you're teleworking, you're not going to have the power of the people next to you to go over and ask those questions. So it'd be highly recommended that if you adopt this product, that you either take classes online through, YouTube, or go to Udemy, or go to some third-party person to go teach you, or even a person like me as a consultant that does some training on that limited regard. And it gets costly, but it's highly recommended to go over and learn it, to learn these tools, to master these tools. And there's lots of classes and lots of availability on that. Another one we recommend is G Suite, especially as your kids are at home and more of the newer millennial businesses and above are using these things, from Google Sheets to Google Docs to Google Drive to Google Slides. It does work drastically different than Microsoft Office, but the platform transfers everywhere. It saves automatically. It allows you to cheapen your costs. If you're teleworking at home, you can go over and use a Chromebook, which will cost a couple $100. Microsoft Office alone can cost, last time I looked, from $9.99 a month to hundreds of dollars if you buy the total software. And a lot of softwares are going to subscription based. So again, Zoom is free, but if you go past 40 minutes, you have to pay between $9 to $20. If you use in G Suite, because they also have Google Hangouts, it's another tool that is free to go over and use to keep your costs low. Because in teleworking, a lot of times they're going to tell you you're going to have to, the company might not buy it for you, but they'll allow you to write it off for the product. But even if they are using it on a regular basis, it would be highly recommended of you to go over and to learn this product, because this product is not stuck into a specific platform. With Microsoft, it's Microsoft, and you can't save Microsoft to Sheets, but Sheets can go back to Excel, Docs can go back to Word, Drive can go back to Microsoft OneDrive, and Slides can go to PowerPoint, which goes into our next one, PowerPoint, a very huge tool for teleworking and doing presentations, because now we don't have those face-to-face meetings. And when we're in those Zooms, our face can get kind of boring, but we go over and take the information that we're speaking about and then bring it to a PowerPoint presentation. And it's been around for about 20, 25 years. It's definitely a very powerful tool. I've been using it since the late 90s, early 2000s, and it's definitely worthwhile. It's actually my strongest one that I go over and teach. I do work some contracts on the side as a side hustle to do that, and most people are wanting to learn how to do that. And it's definitely key. But when you're learning it, just hindsight, don't put too much information and too many transitions within your slides. You'll lose people. No more than usually 5 bullet points per slide. If you can hide the bullet point as the next one comes up, it's definitely key. And not too many colors. The simpler actually is the better. The mind processes way more with way less. That's why we do these banners that StreamYard puts in there. You only see one concept at one time, and you see the ticker, and that's all you see is that particular card. So PowerPoint's a very powerful tool. Now, if you're really trying to go over and wow your people, PowerPoint has some impressive tools, but Prezi, it's a little more costly, but it's the new generation of PowerPoint. It allows you to zoom into logos. You can make infographics. It's a very powerful tool. It's not for free. It is for fee. You can try it out, I think, for a few days to maybe a week. But Prezi is a very powerful tool, especially if you're going to be now in the virtual world doing presentations on a regular basis, especially if you start maybe building your own business and maybe you're teleworking with another company. It's definitely key. In that regard, though, it plays more like a video from my experience, so it is universally portable. You can port PowerPoint into a video, but Prezi just works more seamlessly, and you actually keep people's attention more with Prezi than PowerPoint. That's why they call it death by PowerPoint. Most people get bored out of mind. Most professional speakers and trainers try to avoid PowerPoint, but obviously if you're in a Zoom world doing conference calls and different things, you need some type of presentation tool to keep people's attention. So Prezi might be an option for you. Another option that you go over and do from the Macintosh side, the Apple side, is Keynote. A very powerful tool used just like PowerPoint and Prezi. The only difference is that initially in the saving of the items, it is linked for Mac. You can go save things for PowerPoint, and Keynote actually works better to save stuff in the PowerPoint than PowerPoint saving to Prezi or to Keynote. That is one of the pros with Keynote. Now that a lot of Mac softwares can save in file formats for Microsoft, and Microsoft typically can't save the files to go into the Mac. And that's the pro on that particular regard. So going from there on Keynote, another option, now we're going to more communication, is Slack. Slack is basically a workforce that you can communicate with people, you can share files, you can go over and collaborate with. It's powerful on the laptop, on the desktop, and it's also powerful on the mobile phone. I used to use it for a leadership group that I was a part of, and they have specific channels that you can now separate your conversations. So if you have marketing and sales and leadership and direction and whatnot, you can jump in that particular channel, communicate with that information, shares files, multimedia type stuff, videos and audio files. And it's a fantastic tool to go over and to use. But again, it's not the all tell all, and it's a good thing to go over and learn because it will last through. A very similar tool from Facebook is WhatsApp. The main difference between Facebook and WhatsApp, to what I understand, and I haven't used Slack in about 1.5 years, so if you guys want to go over and correct me, that'd be very much appreciated, is in WhatsApp, it's connected to your phone number and also your Facebook, so you can not only go over and send texts and go over and send multimedia and whatnot, you can then use that protocol to call people and video chat them through WhatsApp. Now, Slack, when I was using it, the updates on the notifications wasn't as strong as WhatsApp, but WhatsApp does have, groups compared to channels, and sometimes you can get lost in those channels, and sometimes it could be cumbersome because you're having to scroll through a lot of items. Now, you can make individual channels for the individual members and whatnot, but again, if you're using Facebook, it's a very powerful tool to go over and instant message people. Because the Messenger is great, but WhatsApp gives you a lot more power in that particular regard. So if you want to take it to the next level, use WhatsApp. Another tool to go over and use, which everybody's familiar with, is Skype. Doing video chats. Even before Facebook Portal was existence and WhatsApp and Zoom and everything else, Skype has been the powerhouse that was originally built their own company before Microsoft bought them for a long time. Skype has powerful tools, collaborative for business and also for personal. You can also buy a phone number for super cheap, make international phone calls, send text to international super cheap. You can go over and share screens and do things of that nature. It's a very powerful tool. You can even, on the collaborative business side, if you're using government software and you're using Skype for business, you can go over and present your desktop, present programs, co-author things, share files. You can even take control of the screens. And again, it's a very powerful tool. I just used it today to go over and help somebody with a document. And then I showed them how they can take control of the document. They also can do video and audio calls. You can also, even if you're in a presentation, for example, let's say, for example, you're in a presentation and you're listening from somebody else, as long as the software doesn't block, you can Skype them in and share your screen and share your audio. And then you can then say, if you're doing like a Zoom and they're not invited, but you want them to watch, you can then share your screen and make a phone call, and then they can still listen in. That's what I'll be using tomorrow in that particular realm, is doing that. From there, for storage of documents, no matter where you're at, Dropbox is a great opportunity. And I think they give a couple gigs free when they initially start. It's the same thing as Google gives a lot more. The G Drive, I think it gives 15 gigs, but Dropbox can go integrate and you can share files, and then you don't have to worry about resources and everything else. But that's another product that you can go over and get. Now, going from the social media side, if your business, as a military veteran first responder, has to deal with a lot of social media and keeping things up to date as COVID advisor changes, maybe updates in your job and whatnot, and hey, you have to notify people on multiple different platforms, Hootsuite would be a great opportunity. It's an automated system that can go over and update your social media for you. It's a very powerful tool. I'm thinking about actually going back into that and doing that to gain more traction in posts. Now, organic posts are actually more looked at when you post it compared to sponsored by. That's the thing with Hootsuite, is that at least the last time that I used it a couple years back, it just says, sponsored or ran by Hootsuite. But the thing is if you're managing a lot of multimedia on social media and you're trying to post on a regular basis and you're not trying to get overburdened, Hootsuite's a very powerful tool to go over and use. From there, we only have a couple more tools. And again, if you guys want to add to the feed and conversation, we'd love to go over and hear what you go over and use in teleworking. What are you planning to go over and use in teleworking? We'd love to go hear that. The next one is Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams basically goes over and basically takes Skype and Dropbox and collaboration and Slack and all those tools and puts it into one. You create your own teams. They can share instant messages. They can share files. You can do video and audio chats to the people that are in the teams. You usually have to be in a collaboration of a particular group. When you buy it for the commercial side, it gets a little more complicated. They do have a commercial vendor version of it, but there's also government and federal versions of this. And you're allowed to go over and to interact and stream video, stream audio, go over and do presentations in that regard. It's a very powerful tool to go over and use, especially if you are a Microsoft family user. You don't need to relearn Zoom in a sense, even though Zoom is one of the most popular tools, especially if you're on an enterprise network and you're already using Microsoft products. You might as well use Microsoft Teams to go over and to thrive. So it depends on what type of teleworking you're doing, if you're doing it in a company or you're doing it as a contractor or whatever it is, or military. The last one that we recommend is join.me. We don't know much about it. I just did a preliminary search, but it's just another opportunity to have another thing in your portfolio to share screens, do video conferencing and things of that nature. I don't know the powerfulness of the tool. I haven't used it in a long time, so I can't say I highly recommend it. I know I can moderately recommend Microsoft Teams. I can highly recommend WhatsApp. I use it on a regular basis, and I've used Keynote and PowerPoint. But in the sense of join.me, again, this is more of inspired by PCWorld.com. Again, we want to give credit where credit's due in that article, and you can go back to that article on 10 tools for more productive teleworking to go over and to find out how join.me actually works. So a couple questions we want to ask you guys as you guys are growing and thinking about this decision about teleworking or not, or going back to work, is what's your level of tech savvy? Are you a 1 and just barely survive at work and you have to ask lots and lots of people for help? Like one of my friends that I've known for 14 years, she was a 1. She's maybe a 3 now, but she has to ask a lot of questions in this world. So teleworking for her might not go over and work that well, which is not a bad thing. Or are you a 9 or a 10? Are you the person that they go over and call? Because I'm the one that usually goes over and gets called on this technology stuff and says, how do you go over and use that? Like I'm learning 2 pieces of software. I'm learning more in depth on Microsoft Teams and on an Air Force software just this week. And I'm offering it to the entire, wing on the active side and on the reserve side. So where do you sit on that thing? Honestly, evaluate yourself. And it's evaluating yourself. If you're having to ask lots of questions and you only do the bare minimal in the programs and you just survive as people toss stuff, then you're more likely on the lower half of the scale. Now, if people are regularly asking you for help and you're navigating through their processes and you're the one that's going over and researching stuff on a regular basis and you're offering Zooms and already on using Dropbox, or you're already doing social media management and other collaboration tools, then you're more likely the 8, 9, or 10. And the other question that we have for you to challenge you is, which tools do you use? We'd love to hear your thoughts to share with military veterans and first responders. What tools do you use since you've been forced to telework, or maybe you're going to stay in telework, that helps you go over and thrive? Which ones are easy to learn? Which ones are hard to learn? For me, I've done technology for 15 years, but what about a novice person? If you're like a 1 or a 2 or a 3, what tools did you use currently that makes it super simple to go over? Zoom for some people is super complicated. Other people think Microsoft Teams is a breeze. Other people think Prezi is awesome. Other people will stick to PowerPoint. So which tools do you use? We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love for you to add to the conversation. And as always, our superhero challenge of the day is, we'd love for you to go take 1 hour this week to set aside to learn a new tool. Education is power in this day of age. So we'd love for you to go over and to take that time, because a lot of times we just run into work and we grind at work and we never become super well at anything, or whatever the minor things are. But we want you to become an expert in those things. And if you take an hour just this week, if you do that for the remainder of the year, that's 26 hours of training. What could you go over and do that could make your business or corporation or your work center better if you had 26 hours of training in, let's say, Microsoft Teams, or if you went over and learned PowerPoint better, or if you learned a course to go over and do that. And the great part is that we have so much streaming content and so many people teaching in these realms is that you can go and do that. All right, guys, I want to thank you guys for your time. Love to hear you guys in the comment section. And we'd love for you, if you're going over and want to take your business to the next level from brick and mortar to the broadcasting digital world like we go over and do, we'd love for you to go join our summit at easywayliveevents.com. The referral code is always War Hero to Superhero. And if we get 1,000 registrants under that code, I will go over and personally send one of you a $250 Visa gift card with just my name and address, your name and address, and just a beautiful letter to go over and to enjoy. And thank you for going over and sponsoring us and going over and coming to our event. We'd love to hear you. And a quick shout out to papado.com. They are our sponsoring podcast. So if you are wanting to take your podcast to the next level and make it dynamic and interactive like we're starting in the next couple of weeks, we'd love for you to go over and join. We can connect you with the team to be part of the beta test. And if you're looking for new podcasts and wanting to gamify your podcast, Papado, P-O-D-O, Polo.com is a great resource to go over and grow your brand. And we also love to help you go over. And if you want to take it to the next level and do TV, we'd love to connect you with the Easy Way Network. So those are the two places that go over and help us get our content out there. So we want to thank them specifically. And we'd love to go see you at the summit and give one of you a $250 gift card from me to you just because you came. That's it. All right, guys, conversation doesn't ever end. Please go put the comments in there, either pre-show or post-show. We're always looking at that, and we'd love to go over and connect with you. And again, we always give every military, veteran, and first responder 20 minutes free consultation to serve you, to help you thrive from the bedroom to the boardroom. That's about it. All right. So have a beautiful day, and we'll see you on the flip side. Thanks.